So, it's February 10. 5 days ago, I have recorded. Last week, 7 days ago, we had this Lek demo. So, right now, let's try to answer this flashcard. What is the innermost layer of the abdomen mentioned? The innermost layer of the abdomen is the peritoneum. Described as being similar to in thickness to the membranes of an egg. So, grabe siya ka-thin, no? Okay, similar siya thickness of an egg. Nga dili boiled ha. At what point in the procedure does the second instrument count occur? So, second instrument count occurs in the before proceeding with the procedure during the closure of the peritoneum. So, kung ma-close ng peritoneum, guys, mag-second count ta sa instruments. Who typically leads the counting process during the second and third? So, ang circulating nurse na ang mag-lead sa counting sa second and third counts. So, how do they do that actually? The scrub nurse? Second and third? Are you sure? Okay. Missed. So, if an instrument is dropped or removed from the sterile field during surgery, how should the scrub nurse record it? It is not recorded. Pero mag-ingon sila og something word. Subtract it from the count -1. Hindi, that's not how they say it actually. I forgot how they say it. How do they say it? Why must the scrub nurse be alert to blood clots or tissue pieces during the counting of gauze? Kasi i-measure nila yan. It would be included in the counting of the... It will be included in the counting of the blood loss. They can be mistaken for instruments or sponges. What? Blood clots or tissue pieces during the counting of gauze. Ma-mistaken po rin nato ang kuan into sponges. Ang mga... So, what is the primary reason for performing multiple instrument counts? Aside from being sure, to prevent anything from being left behind inside the patient's body. So, that is the primary reason why we need to have a counting of the instruments, kasi dapat wala talagang ma-leave sa body sa patient. So, when is the third instrument count performed? The third instrument count is performed after natapos na, before skin closure. So, before peritoneum closure is the second count. The third count is before skin closure. Kasi it ties everything together, because the reason why we count instruments before closing the patient's skin is para make sure na walang matira. At what specific point in the surgical workflow is the timeout ideally performed? Before the skin incision. So, before mag-open ta, we must have a timeout. Now, what does timeout mean? I don't know what that means, guys. According to the protocol, the timeout should be done once the sterile blank is placed beside the OR table. The timeout should be done once the sterile blank is placed inside the OR table. Anong blank, guys? Once the sterile field is placed. Okay, the timeout should be done once the back table or portable table is placed beside the OR table. So, kung naana sa side ang nasa side ang back table sa OR, table, beside sa bedside. Beside sa bedside! Beside, yeah. Kay mag-start na ta og time out, which, actually, how do we do the time out? What device is often used in the OR? Sarap! What is that?
Where's your brother?
I don't know where is my brother. What device is often used in the OR to clip drapes and create screen that blocks the patient's view to the surgical site? So, ang ginagamit na to, guys, para ma-cover ang view sa patient is katong drape, which an IV pole. An IV pole or na ay specific nga tawag ato, nakalimutan ko. Pero, IV pole is kind of like alternative. Pero if high-tech mo, di ba, nailain juloy. What are the anatomical boundaries for skin preparation in abdominal surgery? What are the anatomical boundaries? So boundaries, guys, for skin prep in abdominal surgery. From the nipple line down to the thighs. Okay, so abdominal surgery, nipple line down to the thighs. Okay. Which specific drape is characterized by having a hole or fenestration to expose the surgical stripe? The lap sheet. Lap sheet ang tawag. During the timeout, all team members must introduce themselves by which two identifiers? Of course, imuhang name o imuhang purpose. Name and role. Got it. So, during the timeout, di ay na siya. During the timeout. So, that's something new. After the timeout. Balik sa good to. Uy, balik sa. Ultim, during the timeout. Okay. God is good. What patient information must be confirmed during the timeout according to the transcript example? Name, age, and gender kay important kayo. Okay. Maura ba na ang important? Dili raman, di ba? Prophylactic antibiotics should ideally be administered at least blank minutes before the surgical incision. 30 minutes? 60 minutes. Gamay ra kayong 30 minutes. Antibiotic, 60 minutes before mahatag na siya. So, why is the reason for that? Prophylactic is prevention. So, that's why antibiotic is, that's what antibiotic is. What information regarding medication must the nurse confirm during the timeout? What information regarding the medication must the nurse confirm during the timeout? Kailangan mo i-confirm, guys, the dose and the time the medication was given. Okay? The dose and the time the medication was given. What? Kailangan nimo i-confirm sa timeout ang dose and the time the medication was given. So, any medication nga gihatag nimo sa patient before the surgery is gonna start. Okay, so you give the time and the dose of that medication. During that timeout, the surgeon is asked to anticipate the volume of blank. Blood loss. Estimated blood loss. Which surgical team member is asked about the critical or non-routine steps during that timeout? I don't even know what the critical or non-routine steps are. The surgeon. Wala lagi dire. What is the function of the first blade used in the procedure? Di na ko matawagan ay. What is the first function of the blade used in the procedure? What the first function of the first blade used in the procedure? To make
What,
the...
sir?
Uy, pangita kang papa, dali.
Mali na ko. Gabike po.
Bike daw siya pa.
Pauwi na ako.
Ay, ano yan ikad?
Okay.
To make initial skin incision, what is the function of the first blade? To make initial skin incision, so like kailangan di po na ako maglantaw. Initial skin incision. Blade holder number 10 is used for smaller blades like 10, 11, 15. Blade holder number 3. Oh, wala po siya gaingon. Hihihihi. Nagulat. Blade holder number 3 is used for smaller blades like 10, 11, and 15. Okay. Blade holder number blank is used for larger blades like 20, 22, 24. 4. Okay. Why is the scalpel blade changed after cutting the appendix in an appendectomy? Oh my gosh, I don't know. Why is the scalpel blade changed after cutting the appendix in an appendectomy? Of course, kailangan na to change ang scalpel blade. I need to watch surgical videos, ang gruesome videos. Why is the scalpel blade changed after cutting the appendix in appendectomy? Siguro kailangan na magbalik-balik, no? Why is this? Kailangan i-change siya. If nakat na appendix. To prevent contamination from fetal matter. Of course, not a fetal matter ang appendix, guys. Or infected tissue. Which specific scissors are used for cutting delicate tissues? This specific na scissor kay used siya for cutting delicate tissues. What is that? Specific scissors used for cutting delicate tissues. Metzenbaum. Scissors. Delicate na mga tissue. So, what is Metzenbaum for? It's used for cutting delicate tissues. So, what is the purpose of the OR screen during the surgery? To prevent the patient from viewing the surgical procedure and to maintain the sterile field. To prevent the patient from viewing the procedure, so kailangan na atay. What is the purpose of OR screen during surgery? Bawal naman lang ang patient, parang basta siya mahimatay siya, guys. And maintain the sterile field, okay? Term NPO status is no mouse per ORM. Nothing by mouse. The time the patient last meal intake before surgery. What must be confirmed regarding the surgical consent during the time out? Patient's signature. Patient was signed. The consent was signed by the patient or legal legislative representative. The consent was signed by the patient or legal representative. In the context of instrument management, what does intra-op stand for? What does intra-op stand for? Hindi ko alam, hindi ko. What does intra-op stand for? Intra-op meaning during the surgery. Intra-op during the surgery. Okay. If a Babcock is removed from the field, what does it affect? How does it affect the count? The nurse, the scrub nurse confirms one Babcock down and subtract it from the total list. So that's how you say it. One Babcock down. Okay. Who is responsible for confirming the count before the surgeon begins closure? Oh, good. Responsible for confirming the count before the surgeon begins closure. Siya ang responsable for confirming the count before the surgeon begins closure. Ang circulating nurse. Sige, silang duha. Which is, kano sa man ditong ang mag-lead kay ang circulating nurse. Ano ko sa second and third? Okay, ang first case ang scrub nurse. Which instrument is specifically mentioned as being used to cut bandages or drapes rather than delicate tissues? This instrument kay specifically mentioned siya being used to cut bandages or drapes rather than delicate tissues. Regular na scissors, bandage scissors. Hindi ko yan sakto ha, pero sige na lang. What should the scrub nurse stand in relation to the surgeon? Where should, doon siya sa table. Beside the assistant surgeon or opposite the surgeon? Okay. Assistant surgeon kay nasa opposite po di ay. So, dara po ang nurse. What is the common abbreviation for Metzenbaum scissors used in the OR? So, ang Metzenbaum again is used for delicate tissues. Mets. Okay, forgot. Concept of timeout. Okay, yes, na siya diri guys. Gi-discuss siya sa ang purpose sa met at sa timeout. A final verification process performed by the surgical team to ensure the correct patient site and procedure. Final verification process to confirm by the surgical team that this is the correct patient site or procedure. Okay. What should the scrub nurse do with the first blade after the skin incision is made? Say buhaton sa scrub nurse. What should the scrub nurse do with the first blade after the skin incision is made? Unsay buhaton sa scrub nurse with the first blade after the skin incision is made? Set it aside or cover it to prevent accidental injury or contamination. Wala niluto. O nilulo. Eyebrows. Chinita si Lola. Set it aside or cover it to prevent accidental injury or contamination. What should the scrub nurse do with the first blade? Okay, set aside nimo ang first blade. Okay, got it. What are the common small blade sizes used with blade number 3, 10, 11, 12, 11, 15? What are the common large size for blade? What are the common large blade sizes used for number 4 blade holder? 22, 20, 24? Got it! Timeout, the anesthesiologist is often asked about patient-specific concerns or risk. So, during the timeout, the anesthesiologist is often asked about, do you have any other specific concerns of the risk of the patient? Papa, asa ka, Papa? The phrase 4x4 in a surgical count refers to what term?
SpongeBob Pigka, hands in the air.
Gauze. Hindi ko yung got it ha, pero sige na lang. What is the purpose of the upper drape in abdominal surgery? The upper drape in abdominal surgery to cover the patient's chest and upper body area. If a surgeon asks for a Babcock, which instrument is they likely referring to? Babcock forceps. The timeout can be performed while the surgeon is already cutting the skin. False. Must be done before skin incision. What must be confirmed regarding essential imaging during the timeout? Whether essential imaging like x-rays is displayed and correct for the patient. Well, kabalong anong na kailangan na essential imaging dapat na ilan namin before, diba? The layer of the abdomen that is very nipis, very thin is the peritoneum. What is the student's nurse role in the timeout if they are acting as the circulating nurse? Sila ang magstorya, guys, to lead the checklist and facilitate the introduction of the team. In a hospital setting. Asa ka pa? Mag-bike ka? No. Ogba ha? In a city hospital, what opportunity is emphasized for student nurse? The experience being the main scrub and handling instruments. Oh my goodness. Help me God. Help me God. Help me God. Why is the second count specifically done at the visceral peritoneal layer? Mut lang. Because it is the last chance to see into the abdominal cavity before it is closed. Oh, okay. So, nakasina ka sa abdominal cavity. Okay, gamay pa man, nipis pa man siya. If an extra instrument is added to the field during surgery, the count must be updated to include the new item. Mag-update pa jud ka if mahag... Ay, nako, grabe. So, magbalik na po tag-count, guys. O, diba? What is the first count primarily for? First count is primarily for establishing the baseline of all instruments and materials before the procedure begins. So, muna siyang baseline, guys. Ay, naparinig ko, anday. Naparinig. 24 minutes. That's great, that's great. Practice again. All cards, only the cards you missed. Okay.